February 3rd, 2025. We have a delegation, the Model Aeronautics Association of Canada, Dean Weichman, I presume that's you, regarding the use of the Cache Creek Aerodrome for model aircraft activities. It's all yours, buddy.
Thank you. Council members, thank you very much for allowing me to pitch my deal here on this cold, wintry night. I guess I'll start with, yes, boys and their toys. I've been doing this for about 50 years now, and what I would like to bring forward to you is basically what we're all about and what we're asking the village for. And essentially that is a flying site that we can operate our model aircraft. I brought this to you today to show you that this is a model aircraft as opposed to the drone stuff. Drone stuff is very different, although it falls within the mandate of the Model Aeronautics Association of Canada. This is where it all started. Back in 1947, the association was formed, and we fly model airplanes. Now, I started when I was 12 years old, actually 10 years old, doing control line, those 049 things go round and round and round, yeah. And actually then graduated to radio control. And when I was 18, I got my full-size pilot's license. I was going to go into aviation, however, circumstances, I went into the medical field instead, but it's okay. At least this way I can afford a full-size airplane. In my late 20s, I built a full-size aircraft. However, work, family, things got in the way, and was able to fly that a little bit and then kind of left general aviation, but I still did model aircraft. Up until several years ago, I decided, well, I'm getting older now. If I'm going to build a real airplane, I better do that. So I actually did finish a full-size aircraft, and I have been flying in and out of Cache Creek here, and actually really liking it because it's quiet, it's a ton of fun to fly in and out. It's only 25 minutes from Kamloops, is where I'm from. And while I was there, I was chatting with a couple of gentlemen, or one gentleman in particular that was building a hangar, and I said, you know, I fly model airplanes, and we generally fly, we have sort of competition and events down at the Princeton Airport. And that has been going on for about 25 years. However, with everything that's happened with drones and Transport Canada as of late, there are now restrictions that are being placed on operations within certain airports. Now, Princeton is one of those weird ones where it actually falls under what's called a Class E airspace. And generally it's 700 feet and above. But for whatever reason, it goes back many decades, nobody can really give us a straight story. It may have been during wartime, it may have been during the time that there was training, we don't know. But anyways, it falls under a different one, which means that every time we have an event or we fly there, we have to get permission through NAV Canada. So for us to fly model aircraft in Canada currently, anything over 250 grams, so let's say about a quarter of a pound or so, or half a pound, you have to have a basic license. And licenses, registration, and enforcement is done by Transport Canada. It's easy enough to go on there, you go onto a site, you fill out a questionnaire, there's a little test that you have to do, you register your model, and away you go and you get your basic certificate. At the Princeton Airport, we are required to have an advanced certificate, which means that we can fly within so many miles of an aerodrome, whether it be controlled or not controlled, but we do have to go through all of the hoops that NAV Canada is required. This has caused a bit of a problem for our bigger events. So I brought you what's called a small airplane. So we have ones that are like little park flyers or little ones you can fly in a schoolyard, all the way up to very, very large aircraft that weigh in excess of 50 pounds and will do 200 miles an hour. Cost-wise, $500. I test flew a jet for a gentleman in Alberta that was $35,000, and it goes up from there. So the technology, although it's been great, has also caused us some issues when it comes to responsible operation of our aircraft. So although we still have events and we do fly periodically, roughly about 4 to 6 times a year at Princeton, it's become quite a lot of paperwork. And everybody has to go through a special process to get this advanced license. There's a number of tests you have to go through. You have to have someone come up from Vancouver to do an evaluation, and And it's just, so we've got guys that come up from the States, we've got folks that come out from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and it's just become very difficult. So we've been looking at another site. And I always keep coming here and I'm going, oh, this is really nice. How can we maybe set something up here? And so that's basically what I'm here to ask you about or to talk to you about today is I've been up to the field a number of times. Our aircraft can fly off of there. There are some areas there that it's a little bit rougher for our small aircraft, but our bigger ones can handle the pavement just fine. What I really like about the field is that there is no real restrictions in that we're not, we could safely fly in all areas. We're not flying over houses, we're not flying over farms, ranches, anything like that. In the event of an issue, it's easy for us to get there. We have our own fire suppression equipment. With Princeton, we have water backpacks, we have rakes, shovels, we have an ATV as well. So what I would like to ask is if the council would be amenable to us having this site registered as what's called a site operating, we would get what's called a site operating certificate. So essentially what it does is it makes that field a field that we would form a club, and that field would belong to or be operated by a club. We are very safety conscious, this is really important, so we would not allow general flying there unless you are a club member. You have to have 2 people up there, you have to have radio equipment. We would not shut down the airport, it would be still operational while we're up there. We're looking at 2 events per year, one in the spring, one in the fall. We generally get between 25 to 30 some pilots. Usually it's about 5 days, but we don't close the airport down. Full-size aviation always has priority. And we have a number of us that are full-size pilots, so we do know how to handle the radios and we make sure that's all fine. Now with regards to liability, insurance, I know that's a big factor. Through MAC, which is the Model Aeronautics Association of Canada, they have gone through this process at least 45 plus times through Canada. So they have experience in working with villages and towns when it comes to operating out of what's termed an uncontrolled airport, which is what this is. So essentially, we need permission from you to operate there. That's really all we would need is permission. Anybody could do that. They can come to you and say, hey, can I go fly my toy airplane up there? And if you say, yeah, whatever, they can go. Other than that, you have to maintain a 3-mile radius from the airport. So what we're asking though, is we're asking to go one step further, and that is you allow us to use it as a club field. That would be sanctioned through our association, which provides each individual member $7.5 million. And in addition, the village is insured for $10 million. So the paperwork that's involved is basically follows after my presentation, and you can discuss it. And if you think that, hey, this is something that's doable, I have a package that I've already discussed with Administrator Couture here, and it's just a matter of filling out some forms, how many movements are at the airport, any restrictions, any concerns, things like that. We would have one point person, so one individual would be either myself or another member that would speak to you from time to time if necessary. And yeah, so that's my pitch. Any questions, concerns?
Questions, Councillor Peters?
Okay, I'm a little bit confused, so I just want a little bit of clarity. You're talking about an airfield, but not using like the airport runway itself?
We are.
So
we are asking for the airport runway for use.
Okay, and so your expectation would be that, is it just for when there's events, or like we don't want our airport to be non-viable? We have other events that happen up there as well as the local pilots and the pilots like yourself who make use of the airstrip. So
correct.
How will that impact the day-to-day operations, I guess? Of our
So basically what would happen is if we had some members that were wanting to go up to fly, let's say on a Wednesday afternoon, they would be required to contact someone here and say, hey, I'm going up there between the hours of 1 and 5 o'clock. We're 2 of us, we'll be a spotter, we have a radio, we're just gonna be up there for the day and then that's it. We don't anticipate a lot of activity there. I'm the one that's probably the most active, and I'm the closest one. I believe there's a gentleman somewhere around here that would fly, but again, we need two. We would require the pilots and the spotter. So I don't think that this would be a very common occurrence, maybe a few times a year. The event itself, we're looking at maybe 2-3 times a year, which would be probably a 5-day. But I understand you also have other uses of the field. We will work around that. We're very flexible. So if it's not this week, it could be another week. As long as we have some idea, we can bring forward to you, hey, we're looking at maybe the last weekend of May. Does that work for you? So, and then we put it out as an invitation to fellow flyers.
And do you file NOTAMs when you have an event?
Yes, absolutely. That would be something that we would do, and we would inform the administrator that is done. That is part of the process.
And then just the last thing is, we're often used as a staging area for BC wildfire, and so you know that there would be some exceptions that would happen, and with sometimes no notice.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're well familiar with that, given the Princeton Airport, and we also have we'll make a decision as well in the event that there is a fire ban, a camp fire ban. Usually that is our go-to. Once the campfire ban is in effect, we generally don't fly. Yeah, no, we're very cognizant of that fact, and yeah, I have a place out at Shuswap Lake that I was within half a kilometer of losing, so I'm very, very sensitive to that as well. So no, we would know that, and we would communicate as well.
Councillor Dubois.
So just to be clear, that if you have club members on the Wednesday that go decide to fly, they would be in radio contact with any other potential pilot that wanted to use the airport. They would not be restricted in any way, shape, or form from using it.
Absolutely correct.
And during events, is that also the same case that local pilots, if they wanted to use it, would be free to land and take off as needed? You just have to play nice together, essentially.
Absolutely, yes. And we've had that frequently at the Princeton Airport. Princeton Airport is used as a training IFR, so quite often we'll have the folks from the pilots from the Lower Mainland come up, do a quick pit stop, and then head off to their next destination. So we put a NOTAM in place. Generally, you're supposed to use proper off-airport or uncontrolled airport procedures. You're supposed to call in and such, but once in a while you'll get kind of a guy who doesn't really remember that, or an older pilot, shall we say. But it is incumbent upon us to know and to be out of their way to make sure that full-size aviation always has precedent. So we always, that's the reason for the spotter. And in an event like that, we have many eyes and we have the radios. So if somebody comes in what's called Nordo, they have no radio, or they're just coming in and they're following, they'll do a cross runway and they'll do a pattern, we'll know that they're coming in. And even if we're not sure, we'll shut it down.
Any other questions for Mr. Weichman? Am I saying that name? Wichman?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay. We've got it on the agenda later for consideration. The administrator gave us lots of information about what you're seeking, and I'm sure we'll have a decision for you at some point in the near future.
Very good. Thank you. I very appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming all this way in a cold day.
Shall I take this over the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll give you a minute to move your things.
Hey?
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Take
Thank
care.
you. See you later.
Another thing is, he mentioned there's no farms or ranches, but it's kind of surrounded by farms and ranches.
Grazing rates.
That's Cromwell. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's Cromwell's.
I'm pretty sure they are serious enough not to chase cows.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
Ultimately, it's an airport, if they're doing airport activities, that's.
well, and the more we can.
I didn't think so.
Were they going back east or something?
I
Are they going to Nova Scotia?
don't remember that. Maybe.
Just waiting for you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't like to keep people waiting. On to the minutes, January 20th regular meeting minutes. Could I have a motion to adopt as circulated?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Any business arriving from the delegations? We'll see that later in the agenda, I think. Business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Committee reports, Economic Development, Councillor Dubois.
Yes, I'd just like to give notice that there will be a meeting of the Economic Development Committee on February the 11th at 4:30 at the village office.
Thank you. Budget and Administrative Services. I think we had a resolution at the last council meeting for staff to set up a meeting of the budget and,
I sent an email out checking for your dates of availability.
oh, I never saw that. You probably didn't send it to the Big John email address.
I believe he sent it to both addresses.
Oh, did he?
You got mine.
I think so.
I sent my screenshot of his schedule.
Well, I'll have a look for it. Thank you. Bylaw and Policy Review Committee, Councillor Ranta.
Well, just to let council know, we had a good 2.5 hour meeting today. And we're moving forward. We got through the whole agenda and it was really a good meeting. So we don't have a date for our next meeting, but we do have quite a few items that we're dealing with. So we probably will have a next meeting coming up.
Thank you. Public Works, Councillor Dubois.
Just wanted to let staff know that we've been noticing some graffiti happening around the park lately, particularly on the gazebo. I'm not sure if it's been flagged and stuff. There's been some tags and stuff, so.
Nothing that bucket of paint won't fix, eh?
A little bit of sanding.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Healthcare and Protective Services, Councillor Ranta.
Nothing new.
Emergency Management, Councillor Peters.
Nothing new?
Parks and Recreation, Councillor Ranta.
Nope, nothing new.
There's something on the agenda.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. The request from the, Sage Brazilian,
Jiu-Jitsu.
okay, sorry, yeah, that's great. So they're requesting, I think they're requesting long-term permanent use of the basement meeting room in the hall.
I think they are.
Exclusive use.
Yeah, I think they are. Councillor Peters.
While I admire their initiative, I don't think we can commit the only meeting room we have in the community hall to someone and not have a meeting space.
Only meeting room in the community.
Not a meeting room in the community. Yeah, that I, you know, as much as I would love to support them, I don't think it's
It's too big an ask.
It's too big, it's not feasible for us.
Yeah, I agree. And the expectation they seem to have of leaving their mats set up in the room restricts the use for other users far too much, in my opinion. So I think we should suggest to them that their request cannot be met as it's presently worded. Councillor Dubois.
I would also say that maybe there's an opportunity, if the CAO, as he's responding to that, let them know there's maybe some other sites that could be utilized. I think there's potential for maybe some rental of some existing property.
Some other existing properties,
Yeah,
like a church or something.
acres, where acres was.
Thank you. So I guess I would propose a motion that the administrator respond to the Sage Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu organization that the permanent lease of the community hall meeting room is not possible at this time, and we would encourage them to seek other alternatives in the community.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried? Thank you. Okay, I actually got a resolution passed by council for a change. That's great. Landfill Advisory Committee, we have the cost care statement. I would move that we receive and file the cost care statement on page 9.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Statement of annual royalties. As I predicted, we did hit more than $500,000 in revenue this year. I would move that we receive and file the statement of annual royalties for 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Councillor Dubois?
So, it looks like there's been growth in the royalties. Are we expecting them to level off at any of these current levels, or are they still expected to grow?
I just hope they are going to grow.
Okay.
Well, I did get a phone call from Mr. Black of Waste Tech related to the third quarter, and he was quite excited by the fact that the amount of tonnage being disposed here had gone up quite a bit. And in following up with that, I did write that letter to the Premier suggesting that possibly there's an opportunity, in light of the tariffs that have been put on, there's possibly an opportunity to send a message to Metro Vancouver that perhaps they should be considering waste disposal within the province rather than exporting so much of their waste down to United States. So I'm hopeful that the tonnage will grow, but there's no guarantee, as we all know.
Our CEO Patricia had a comment.
I was just going to mention that it's anticipated to continue to grow based on my latest conversations. But yeah, like the third quarter was a pretty significant spike, so it's hard to say if that will, fourth quarter. It's hard to say if that'll carry forward with another spike or jump. They're hopeful, but hard to say.
Thank you. TNRD and Intergovernmental Liaison.
Have to vote on that one.
Oh, vote on that one?
Yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TNRD and Intergovernmental Liaison, the NDIT Roundtable Report. Thank you, Councillor Peters, for the report. Could I have a motion to receive and file the report?
If I may, Mayor Ranta, there was a communication issue. There was supposed to be 2 reports. One was the one that came into, that made the agenda is what I actually talked about in the roundtable. I'll just give a quick verbal report of the meeting, if that's
carry
okay.
on.
The first meeting of the year is, there's no grant applications to be considered, and so they usually do they did a quick orientation to the committee. NDIT was formed by an act of parliament when the province sold BC Rail. The economic impact to the north was substantial, so it was set up to help the communities impacted. So the format normally of a meeting is to have a discussion on all of the grant applications, and then the RAC committee for the interior does, or the northern, either yays or nays, the applications that come in, and then they are sent to the board of all of the northern areas, the northern development, for approval by that board, and then the information comes back to us. The roundtable was mostly concerns about the upcoming tariffs, because the areas that we are in, mining lumber is a huge part of the economy of those areas. So, thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you. And did we get a motion to receive and file the report from Councillor Peters? Not yet.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you for the report. Carried. Cache Creek Community Fund, Councillor Dubois.
Sorry, I just gotta change where I'm at. We have. Oh, wait, nothing. Right, sorry.
Perfect. On to staff reports, model aircraft flight operations, pages 12 to 14. The recommendation is that staff work with the group on a draft agreement to bring back to council at a future meeting. And I would so move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
In numerous discussions we've had over the past probably 5 or 6 years, is to increase the use of our airport. It's such a wonderful facility, and it's extremely underutilized. So the more people, this will bring people who have flight ideas and experiences into the airport, so they can see how great it is.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that he's got his own plane and built his own plane and everything, and that he flies back and forth from Kamloops quite often. And that's what we need, are a few more people like that coming and going, which might restrict the opportunity for model airplanes, but that's all good. Okay, any discussion, any further discussion? Administrator Couture.
Just a couple little things. Looking at the documentation and everything, not seeing anything of concern. There were a couple things about use, I guess we could use as kind of a starting point. They previously were asking like for the couple weeks at a time, like what was mentioned here, but also there was discussion of overnight camping and things like that. So I'm just wondering what council would like to see or would not like to see at the site, so that I know when I'm having discussions, or if there is such a thing.
Well, Councillor Peters.
The camping thing is a bit of an issue. The drag racers that come up want to camp because they want to stay with their vehicles. From the sounds of things, if that was kind of a medium-sized plane, there's a very good chance that they would want to stay on site, because they would have trailers with their stuff in. We have to be aware that we do have a campsite in Cache Creek, as well as the one in the Ashcroft Band. But I think that if we kind of found a way to limit the camping to participants only and not to spectators, that would help alleviate some of that concern.
Councillor Dubois.
How does it work when there is the races with the camping? Any cost with camping is paid to the race organizers, is that correct? And they are actually paying for the usage of the field. I would suggest that while utilizing the airfield is it's a free public use, I have no issues with that. If they are going to be camping up there, I think there is potentially something that we do need to look at, whether or not they should be paying for that service. But I would agree with Councillor Peters. I would rather see them directed towards our local campsite rather than utilizing that space.
I think it would be great if we could encourage them to use the local campsites. In the conversation I had with Mr. whatever his name is, Weitzman, he said that one thing that he didn't mention is there may be some opportunity for the village to generate revenue from this. They're not opposed to paying for the use of the facility. I don't know if there's a quantum that he had in mind, but I don't know what they pay, if anything, at Princeton, but it would be interesting to inquire about that and make ours cheaper than that. Councillor Peters.
We do have in our community facilities, there is a fee structure for the airport. And I know for the drivers, just because it's an extended period, that we have in the past negotiated a better fee amount for them to make it viable. So we do have to remember that anybody that comes into any of the facilities really should be, in my opinion, paying to use those facilities. So while it will be a benefit to the community, there is also a fairness piece of it that we need to be cognizant of.
Yeah, he spontaneously came up with the potential that there may be some revenue come to the village. And also he said that there's an opportunity to engage the school kids in the operation of these remote control planes, and that'd be great. You know, I'm sure the kids would love it. I know I would. Councillor Ranta.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, it sounds wonderful. So, like, I would like to try to find a way of supporting them without being sort of taken advantage of, and you know, just hope the staff can work out a good agreement with them. Hope it isn't, you know, I think we'll know what it's like after it starts to happen, and sort of maybe it'll need some tweaking. So I think we, you know, have an initial agreement and then maybe update it as required. But I hope it all works out. I think it's good to have people coming into Cache Creek and doing things. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. On to Cache Creek Hall needed improvements. Kat Chatton seems to have provided significant information about the apparent abominable condition of the basement flooring, and is suggesting that there's an alternative that would cost in the neighborhood of $30,000. And there's a motion on the agenda that is council approve the replacement of the community hall basement flooring, and the council allocate the estimated funds in the upcoming budget to complete this improvement. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councillor Ranta.
I know that we talked about this project at the last budget round, because the price was around the same, and it didn't make the cut. I know that the flooring is slightly rough in the hallway area, and just maybe not that nice in the hall, in the room, in the meeting room, and the gym. Everybody knows that it's disgusting. It's not dirty looking, but it just isn't the right thing for a gym. People sweat and it's just horrible. There's people on the floor using the gym a lot, and how does it get cleaned? It doesn't. So yeah, the gym is a higher priority for me. The bumpiness in the hallway, if it's to the point where it's a safety hazard, I think we need to close the hallway and close the basement of the hallway. I mean, if it is a safety hazard, then immediate action needs to occur, because people are using that a lot. And a temporary fix needs to happen in order to have a safety concerns addressed. We can't even for a week let a flooring thing like that go. The flooring in the hallway flooring, not the carpet, is very durable. I just think there must have been an installation problem with it, because that flooring, it should have lasted a lot longer than it did. That is really excellent, high quality flooring, similar to what a school would have. Let's say the flooring in the hub, which is almost 70 years old, it's the same flooring. So there was some kind of an installation issue that caused this, not the type of flooring. So I'm not a flooring expert, but I kind of wonder if like I kind of would have to say that I can't really determine whether this is the right thing for a council to decide what the best type of flooring for the hall is. I think that would be a staff function, but I think before the budget to have this a $30,000 project that was in the previous budget. I think the timeliness factor here is a safety problem. So I think the safety problem needs to be addressed immediately in a temporary way, and then this amount of money should become part of the budget discussions.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Councillor or Administrator Co-Chair, then Councillor Peters?
So we, to answer some of your concerns, what happened in the hallway is there used to be a runner on it, like a rug, over top of the seam, because the seam was put in the middle, because at the time of installation it made sense, because if you put the seam in the middle, because no matter how you do it, you would have to put either one seam in the middle or two seams on the sides, so it made more sense to put one seam in the middle. And then a carpet was put over top, like just a floor mat was put over top. Over time it stained it, but also secondary to that, the basement has seen floodwater, and the floodwater's gotten underneath that linoleum and kind of buckled it, but not enough to the point that it's immediately claimable by insurance. So I think it was years after the initial damage occurred that it was noticed underneath the carpet that there was concern. And the carpet itself trapped in the moisture, which I think caused the damage to the seam. And secondary to that, like if you look down the hallway, like it's very clear that there's a line in the middle. And then also something went in and out of the storage room that severely damaged the floor. I don't know what happened there. It looks like something was hauled with a hand cart or something in and out of there. The item suggested is a rubber composite flooring. It is definitely the right thing for the gym, definitely. With the hallway, it's an alternative to linoleum because it's better on your knees, it's more absorbent from natural forces, that sort of thing. In the meeting room, we thought it would be a good alternative. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but the issue that we've had in the meeting room is there's a lot of spots that the carpet's starting to tear and cut up and that sort of thing. Just through use, yeah, it's bunching and it's near the end of its life. The carpet in there, the carpet in the gym is in better condition than the meeting room, but they're both kind of, yeah, like in a perfect world we'd have linoleum through the whole thing. But and the stuff last year, the reason why we brought it back, we were looking at like tire stewardship grants to try and get rubber composite floors for inside the space. We don't qualify for it because we used tire stewardship grants previously at the pool, I believe, for the rubber mats. It's the only thing that would make sense in like 2012. So we attempted to apply, but they said, hey, actually, you're the poster child for what we did in 2012. We have photos of your installation. And we said, oh, well, I guess we can't get that grant again. So it's, yeah, we were trying to find a good solution. Previously last year, it was resin that we proposed through the whole space. Resin, with this, if it was to flood, a company could come take all the tiles out, dry them, put them back. Everything's good. With resin, it would just be permanently adhered to the floor, and it's waterproof, water resistant, that sort of thing. Has a similar effect, but the resin would be quite a bit more expensive than that now. So yeah, just a little bit of food for thought.
Thank you. Any other questions, Councillor Dubois?
So just so I'm clear, if there's one of these squares is damaged, it can be replaced, it's not actually
Yes.
adhered to the concrete below?
Correct. Think of it very similar to like those foam tiles that you can buy. Actually, Costco had very similar ones recently, rubber mat tiles. The ones we're looking at are quite a bit thicker.
Yeah.
And this would be going in the 2025 budget as opposed to the 2024 budget, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, because 2024 was proposed in the budget, but it was taken out of the budget.
Is this something that might be a IT recreation facilities grant?
We've looked at a few different things and it didn't seem to qualify in any of the grant streams that made sense. Comparing it to other things that we're applying for, because looking at things like the coverall, that may be the same grant stream.
Okay. And I don't suppose it could be gas tax funding?
I
Or,
don't think so.
do we have any COVID-19 funding?
We were looking at the LG cap funding as well, but it's not, it wouldn't work for it.
Councillor Dubois?
I'm just thinking that I'd rather have floorings as compared to a mural, so maybe there's an opportunity to divert. But I think this is something that we need to get done sooner rather than later. I think there is a health hazard, there's a safety aspect to it. I don't think that there's immediate safety hazard. I'm not concerned that anybody's gonna go in there and trip and break themselves on the flooring that exists, but I think it is definitely deteriorating and it's not gonna get any better. And I would suggest any of this material is not gonna get cheaper, especially with what's going on. I would suggest get it now before there's a chance for any kind of additional stuff to happen with it. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Ranta.
Okay, so, I know it's not really my job to micromanage what type of flooring we get, but seeing as how
You
it's
did
here,
it at home.
I'm going to, make a suggestion that we explore other options, because right now we have the like old-fashioned looking linoleum tile that's black and white, that's graffiti themed in the info center that has, I think, done very well. That is pretty indestructible, and I don't know about the maintenance, but I'm curious about other options other than putting the rubber throughout. I think the rubber is more suitable to the gym, and I'm worried about just if you were at a nice meeting, that rubbery flooring in the meeting room, it just does, to me, it doesn't suit a meeting room. I'm curious about finding something that's just a little bit nicer for the meeting room and for the hallway, and then using the rubber in the gym. And I'm curious about the possibility of the black and white tiles through that whole area, because I think it would just be a really cool graffiti theme.
Appearance.
Yeah, it would kind of reinforce our theme. It would match the info center part, and it might be quite unique for us. I would be curious about that, but I'm just worried about particularly I don't think the rubber flooring that I've seen has been pretty dark, and it's been pretty industrial looking, and for a basement, I just think it will make the whole place just look like a very dark and heavy and not a very bright space. There's no windows down there.
It's going to be blue.
I don't know, but it just, I'm worried about it looking too dingy and too dark. But I mean, I realize that maybe it's not really something that I should be too involved in. However, I think we should try to keep the meeting room as a nice space that could handle a small gathering that where people put some work into the decor, and they're trying to have a nice event that people will slightly dress up to, and to have that rubber flooring down there, I think it will just kind of ruin the possibilities of the meeting room use.
Thank you, Councillor Dubois.
I think that looking at the motion, they've got a quote for one particular type of flooring. I think that if we can, that staff can take our comments that we've come provided, including the talk about sort of the quality and everything like that, and if they can take that, figure out a thing within the price budget that they've allocated, I'm okay for them. I think there's an opportunity to go and do that. I agree, the tile, it's not great, but if they don't have to remove the existing flooring down there and they can just lay it on top, I think there's some huge value in being able to do that. But I've also seen that you can buy the carpeted tiles, similar idea. You see them at trade shows. So I think that,
They have it in the building.
yeah, so I think that if we sort of, in my mind, we're approving staff to go forward and doing some more due diligence to come up with the solution, knowing that there is a budget in place and what they're working within. I think that's what I'm seeing this as, rather than the specifics of the flooring, even though that's what they had in the motion. I think that based on our discussion, staff can take that to heart and.
Yeah, we're not approving specifically those rubber tiles throughout. It's basically replacing the basement flooring, and that we allocate the estimated funds in the upcoming budget to complete the improvement. And so if there's an initiative that results in black and white tile in the hallway and the meeting room, and maybe 1/2 inch rather than 3/8 inch rubber in the, eh?
1/2 inch doesn't stand up.
Oh, doesn't it? In any event, I would leave it up to administration to come up with the appropriate mixture of black and white tile and rubber in the gym and the rest of the basement. Councilor Renta.
Just before the vote, where is the money gonna come from if you vote to pass this?
Right now, it's not allocated from a specific place, no. It would have to come from like operational, like general revenue.
From the mural budget.
From reserves, it's not.
Yeah. From internal reserves.
Other than the landfill legacy reserve.
Right,
It's just rolling through that
from the whole mural fund,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I think-
That will work for me.
I think there was 50,000 there or something, if I recall correctly. On the motion then, as it is interpreted by senior staff, any further discussion? Although,
Just one thing for confirmation. So this would be allowing a purchase, it's 29 and change, so maybe $30,000 purchase of flooring, and we'll look at other options that would maybe make more sense.
Yeah.
And if we'll check the cost, and depending on how if it's less, we'll obviously do it. But if it's around or more, something like that, we'll bring it back to council.
okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Information correspondence, incoming correspondence, Heritage Week, thank you very much. Outgoing correspondence, don't see any. I would move that we receive and file the items of information correspondence.
Second.
So moved.
No, he moved, I said.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you're out of luck. Any discussion?
Program, David.
All those in favor, opposed, carried, thank you. Any new business? Seeing none, questions from the public? Seeing none, questions from the press?
No,
Hearing none, we have need of a closed session pursuant to section 90.1 and 90.2 of the community charter. I would ask for a motion to that effect.
So moved.
second.
Seconded, discussion.
May I just make a quick comment to thank the residents of Cache Creek and Ashcroft for their participation in the Guns N' Hoses hockey game last Saturday night. It was extremely successful, and a donation of over $11,000 will be going to the Ashcroft Hub towards their roof replacement.
Yeah, that's a drop in the bucket for their roof replacement.
Every bit
but-
helps.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And the community came out in full force, so.
Thank you. On the motion to go in camera, any further discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried, thank
Sorry, I
you.
should have done that in business, but I forgot.